Welcome back. We're talking about applications of the law of cosines. So I have this word problem. Jack and Tom start at a tree and begin running apart with an angle of 23 between them. And we will assume that this is an angle of 23 degrees between them. So here's my tree. I'm a horrible illustrator, but here's my tree. Jack's running in one direction. Tom is running in another direction. There's this angle of 23 degrees between them, and yes, that is way bigger than 23 degrees. Here's Jack's, here's Tom's side. Okay, if Jack runs 50 meters, so this side of my triangle is 50, and Tom runs 38 meters, so Tom's side should be a little shorter. Oops, so let's put that in there, a little bit shorter. That's still not much, but 38 meters. What we want to do is when they're done running, how far apart are they? That's what the question is asking us. So what we see here is a side angle side situation, and we are looking for a side of this right triangle. So we can use the law of cosines, and the law of cosines will say that x squared is equal to 50 squared plus 38 squared minus 2 times 50 times 38 times the cosine of 23 degrees. Now, if you've watched any of my other videos on the law of cosines, you will know that I really prefer to simplify everything all in one shot. So that's what I'm going to do right here. What I know then is that x is equal to, and this is what I'll be typing in my calculator, the square root of 50 squared plus 38 squared minus 2 times 50 times 38 times the cosine of 23 degrees. So that's what I'm going to type in my calculator. So I go over the second square root, right, or the second x squared. That'll give you the square root. I have 50 squared plus 38 squared minus 2 times 50 times 38 times the cosine of 23 degrees. Okay. Enter. The 2 will not round, the 2 in the hundredths place will not round the 1 in the tenths place up. So Jack and Tom are approximately 21.1 meters apart. So approximately, or about, 21.1 meters apart. That's the answer to the question. How far apart are Jack and Tom? Let's go ahead and look at example 9. Two radar stations 2.5 miles apart are tracking an airplane. Okay, so I have a radar station here. I have a radar station here. And what I know is that they are about 2.5 miles apart. They're tracking an airplane. So my airplane is up here, and no, I cannot draw. So here's my airplane. This is pretty bad, but there's my airplane. Okay, a straight line distance between station B, so I'll just put station B here, and the airplane. So this distance right here is 9 miles. And when I forget this, the straight line distance between station A, here's station A, and the airplane is 7 miles. And let's pretend I drew that as a straight line, right? Okay, what is the angle of elevation from station B to the plane? In other words, what is this angle right here? This is what I'm looking for. So here's my x. So I'm given 3 sides, and I want to find x. So I know that there are two equations I could use. One of them says that x squared, whoops, it does not say x squared because x is not a side length. So one of them says that 7 squared is equal to 9 squared plus 2.5 squared minus 2 times 9 times 2.5 times the cosine of angle B, or times the cosine of x. That was one formula. If you watched any of my other videos, you may have come across the other formula, which allows us to get straight to the point. And that formula says this. It says that the inverse cosine of 7 squared minus 9 squared minus 2.5 squared divided by negative 2 times 9 times 2.5. This is equal to x degrees. So how did I get there? So, you can just simply start rewriting this equation. You can start with the green one, which is perfectly acceptable, or you can start with the pink one, which just means that you have less steps. So I'm going to go ahead and finish the pink side. Again, if I'm doing this myself, because I remember to use grouping symbols, I would simply put this whole thing in my calculator at one time. But a lot of students get a little bit confused, so I'm going to do just the numerator and then just the denominator. So I have 7 squared minus 9 squared. Whoa, not 72. Let's try that again. I have 7 squared minus 9 squared minus 2.5 squared. Okay, so that's going to give my numerator negative 38.25. And I'm going to take one extra step here. I'm going to stow this calculator in a cell, or this number in a cell in my calculator. So if I use the stow button, and then I'm going to put this in cell A. So I'm going to stow my negative 38.25 in cell A. Now I'm going to go ahead and find my denominator, simplify my denominator. So negative 2 times 9 times 2.5, which is negative 45. Now these numbers aren't too big, so I could type them over myself, but sometimes I worry if I'm typing everything myself that I might make a mistake in what I type in the calculator. So instead, I'm going to go ahead and stow this number in alpha B. So I'm going to stow alpha B, enter. Okay, so now I've stowed these two numbers. Now I need to find the inverse cosine of the ratio of those numbers, right? So second cosine, that's my inverse cosine. Instead of typing negative 38.25, I'm going to type alpha A divided by, and then instead of typing negative 45, I'm going to type alpha B and close these. What I've just done is taken the negative 38.25 from cell A that I stored in cell A, and the negative 45 that I stored in cell B, and I'm dividing those, finding the inverse cosine of that, and then rounded to the nearest degree. I needed to round this to the nearest degree. So the 7 in the 10th place will round the 1 in the units or the ones place up to a 2. So x is approximately 32 degrees. X is approximately 32 degrees. Now, just to help you to understand I really did do this correctly, let's go ahead and type in the inverse cosine. Let's type the negative 38.25 divided by negative 45, and you'll see I did get the same thing. Okay, and then really quickly, if you wanted to make sure that I simplified correctly along the way, I have my 49, right? So 7 squared is 49, minus 9 squared is 81, minus, and 2.5 squared, I bet you could do it faster than me, but it would help if I put it in the right order, 2.5 squared. So here's my negative 38.25, right? So you can see there are multiple ways to simplify this along the way. You want to do it whichever way works the best with the way that your brain thinks. I hope that you've learned something, and I hope that you've enjoyed the videos. I hope that you'll come back the next time when we do something else.